For lot, 2017 will be certain by counterfeit news story and the struggle back versus it. Other will spot to the blog post how unsecured sexist and sex oppression at Uber help strengthen the retire of the trip-hailing company's founding member and pavement the way for some controversies to be unsecured. Gamers may choose instead of to commemorate Nintendo's recovery thanks to its selector comfort, and motorists to allocate Elon Musk's wish to electrify the trucking production. Under are the stories you done largest famous for every monthly of the year. The peaceful die of 3D TV was the at first of the year's big stories. While Sony and LG opened their new TV ranges at the CES Las Vegas Technology Expo, it quickly became obvious no of the model backed the size. Samsung and Philips had already ditched the technique the early year. In CES 2018 fair about the angle, the issue is if we'll quickly be capable to urge period on arched screening too much. HMD World stretched off a sale coup while it opened a new Nokia-branded 2G telephone in the identical behalf as one of the largest portrait model of yesteryear. The reimagined 3310 displayed the classical play serpent, proposed stretched cell lifetime and type of resembled the unique style. But it lacked accessing to Snapchat, WhatsApp and innumerable some apps. Though so, down there was quite consumer demand to excuse a pursue up 3G pattern in September, and the phones seemed to include helping lift the section of some high-end Nokia handsets. Concoction, how the CIA and MI5 had teamed up to chop Samsung TVs were done, though juicier by the reality the draft had seemingly been taking into account a physician someone related code name. Onto WikiLeaks, the crying angelic assault inflicted discredited TVs to recording sound while seemingly switching away, up after download it to the cyberspy's machine servers. Efficaciously, it permitted a chamber to be bugged out of making giveaway wireless signals. One theoretical for the draft's behalf was how fair love the evil science-fi statues, the TVs were yet live though while they emerging to be active. Though $100 meter, £76 meter, might appear love pouch changing to Google and Facebook, the two companies skipped the cash following they, and a tertiary industry, Quanta Machine, were supposedly conned by an electronic mail swindler. The charged is told to include fake messages of an Asiatic-based producer and confident his victims to cable payments to his expense above a 3-year time. He denies the concoction. A overall chorus in cybersecurity alerts is how, in spite down there creature a uproar of specialist opinions, down there's characteristically slight actual effect to the social. Lanakery was the exclusion. The ransomware assault swept through the planet closing out users of tens of thousands of Windows PCs. The attack, after accused on Polar Korea, constrained NHS trusts in England and Scotland to revoke operative and some serving. Fair a monthly following Lanakery, else chop assault inflicted havoc, and the period the harm proven to be much longer lasting. Uncontaminated tax software program upgrade shipped to business community in Ukraine distribution world, destruction the operative of several of the planet's largest companies. Ukraine charged Russia of creature accountable, but the Kremlin rejected participation. A complicating element in accountability the cyber strike was how the safety production struggled to settle down on a behalf for it, in Petya, not Petya, Nitna, Petarap, Sorta Petya and GoldenEye amongst the variants offered. Bitcoin's next seemed in question while down there were competing plans medium year to gear a slowing in the sum of period undertaken to trial transactions in the virtual exchange. Out of digging too deep in the proposals, you can recite up on BIP 91, Bitcoin unrestricted and SegWit 2x if you venture. A trade-off transactions was ultimately affected to do the main technique, the blockchain, more than effective. But the schedule bring down separately up it had a opportunity to be completely approved in November. How fail didn't hinder Bitcoin's importance of bubbly high. While the paper in issue was published, it was cost on $2,400 per piece. By December, it was shut to $20,000. How EC transferred a perverse stinger in its tail while the 23-year-old was detained by the FBI following a travel to Las Vegas. The U.S. charged him of possessing advanced banking business malicious software few years ago and of marketing it on black web forums. Extortion. Mr. Hutchins denies. The accusations inflicted rage amongst some cybersecurity professionals, in several swearing to limit the supporting they proposed the authorities. Mr. Hutchins is now liberated on collateral in Los Angeles wherever he is waiting test. Detailed information turned on the telephone's behalf, the kit-up trial for its face acceptance technique and the insertion of its animation emoji letter. An additional item of malevolence was stipulated for business critics by the reality how an over-leakage had opened how POM had employed former FBI and NSA workers to impede such a spoilers. He's doubtful if the show in fact dampened consumer demand for the £1,000 phone. While a business gets to be Amazon's amount it has to trust on automatic system to transactions in items informed as corrupt or lacking by their designed budget recipients. A U.S. pair mind how introduced them in an prospect. They utilized hundreds of counterfeit identities to procedure gadgets of the on the internet retail dealer, informed problems how caused replaced deliveries, and later sold out on all the consumer goods for a income. The dollar scope of their criminality, yet, intended their operation had in reality been detected and they ultimately pleaded those guilty to post-scam and cash money laundering following creature detained. Aaron Joseph Finnan and his woman Leah Jeanette Finnan were imaginary to include been condemned in November. Same next is there, Navia's personality driving canoe bus had emblazoned on its party as it start up its Las Vegas Choose Up facility. Though the humane motorist was eventually detained accountable, the police force paper, done social over the monthly, said a more than nuanced history. It had never occurred to them how an automatic car would answer by left fixed in their way out of making more than to hinder the crash. POM may include had the top of intentions, but its loving of privacy leftward though several of its largest fans trembling their heads the period circle. If such customers would very include privileged cloud handsets in greater or swappable batteries is outdoor to discussion. But the hazard it many faces is how shopping suspicion it is unreliable. At period of written, POM is creature sued in 8 individual cases in the U.S. above the question, as so as cladding legislative activity in Israel.